Alright, well this might be my love letter to Will White and the Cradle series. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and Waybound has arrived and been read. But before we get into that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And check the description box down below for information about my Patreon, links to my Pango books, links to the Wizardly Duo Discord, and links to all my other social media. Check me out, follow me, do all of that sort of stuff. Guys, I am very, very happy today because I finished Waybound yesterday, and it knocked my socks off. And this isn't so much a book review as just a discussion on how the book made me feel. Did Will White stick the landing? Where do we go from here? Because I already want to reread this series. I'm so ready for more Cradle, and what sucks is there isn't anymore, because Waybound was it. And essentially, I started the book incredibly just kind of confused because it was the longest gap between Cradle books that I'd ever done, because basically I was kind of up through Dread God and all that. I was playing catch up, and so there was only 2 to 3 month gaps between any of the longest books that I had to wait for, and so I just rushed through Cradle and consumed it. So when Waybound started, I was a little bit sketchy or a little bit hazy on the details. I didn't quite remember what had happened. But, once, a couple of my friends were like, hey, here's, 5 bullet points that you probably don't remember. And then I was like, oh, I do remember that now. And I just sunk straight into the story. And oh my god, what an amazing experience. There were times towards the end of this book where I was just happy crying. You know when you're, really empathizing with a story and you just get kind of choked up, and, there were just great callbacks, great character reveals, bringing characters back into the fold who've been gone from the series for a long time. There was a great circular, it was so good. We touched on stuff from book 1 at the end of book 12. It just had this great encompassing coming full circle. It was fantastic. And I always the combat in Waybound is just next level. This book does not let up. The pacing is intense. It is crazy, and the payoffs are huge. If you've been following this series and you're a fan of Cradle, Waybound is where it's at. It gives you progression fantasy. It gives you what you wanted, and it doesn't try and hurt you. It is going to give you that resolution that you feel like these characters deserve and have fought for. It was so incredibly satisfying. There were moments where I was just I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I don't know how this is going to go. It was just so intense. I'm sitting there just flabbergasted. And of course, I consumed this because I don't own the physical book. I consumed this on audio, which was, again, narrated by the incomparable Travis Baldry, who just elevates these books to the next level by adding these character inflections and these voices. Dross shines, Orthos shines, Lyndon shines, Yaren shines. Just everybody. Zeal got to shine so much in this book, which was something that I really kind of want to touch on, is it felt like Will White took the time to make sure that every character got their time in the spotlight, because Zeal has always felt kind of like a background character, and then here in Waybound, I really felt like he came into his own, really got to know who Zeal was, and that's been kind of building over the last few books, but man, if Dread God was kind of the serve, Waybound was the spike, and just game, set, point, end the match. So overall, I was really happy with just Zeal kind of getting a little bit more fleshed out. And then Little Blue was just fantastic. Little Blue has always been, when we meet Little Blue, she's just this kind of tiny little sprite spirit in a box. And where she's at here is just fantastic. The only criticism I have for the story is probably the Celestial storyline, which has always been this kind of separated storyline within the series of, we've got what's going on in Cradle, and then we've got what the Abaddon are doing. And some of that felt a little rushed. But I don't know how I could possibly recommend or critique that it be fixed, other than just expanding upon certain rivalries and certain things that are going on with the judges. But other than that, I really had no complaints. I loved just everything about Waybound. Like, to me, this is probably one of my favorite finales that I have read of a series, I think, since starting BookTube. Like, it just, I've never read a book that quite literally made me just, like, water covered my eyes, and I started getting short of breath, and I was just happy crying. And then the bloopers at the end of this story, were hilarious and heart-wrenching. And I don't know if they're in the physical copies because I've never fully taken a look, but at the end of each audiobook, there's a blooper reel where it's just alternate stories. There's just so many great things. And then it's also like, it's the end of an era for Will White. Now, we still got the Captain going on. I think he's coming back to Traveler's Gate and things of that nature, but Cradle has been something special to me. It's just been that kind of comfort read that you can reach for, and the stakes are constantly building throughout the series, and then I think just the battles and the way everything plays out at the end of Waybound was just, chef's kiss. So good. The tension, perfect. The rivalries, built on. And then, there was just some things that were done. Some interactions amongst the monarchs and the rivalries and everything that just made sense. It was handled in a fantastic sort of way. There were times where I didn't think certain characters were going to make it because it was just 1 second and the whole story could flip on a dime. I'm very satisfied with this ending. I can't wait to discuss this with my buddy Patrick. I think he has just recently started reading it at the time of recording. As of now, the book has been out for 3 days, and I consumed it within 24 hours. 500 pages, 24 hours. Of course, it's on audio, so I was able to just rip through this story, but I was unable to shut it off. Guys, fast-paced, great character work. I mean, for what progression fantasy is, it was great character work, because the thing is a lot of people are like, you don't really get to know these characters. Well, you get to know the characters through their training and through their goals and then through connecting through their training. So it's not full fleshed out character work, but at the same time it is its own type of full fleshed out character work. Progression fantasy has this weird little thing where they're constantly powering up, they're constantly getting stronger, but at the same time, character interactions are happening, rivalries are being formed, animosities are born, and it's so good. Friendships, love, all of that. I felt it, and I believed it in Will White's Waybound. I thought that this is the crowning jewel that Cradle needed, because I wasn't entirely sure after Dread God. I thought, because of what happened, and the kind of change in the dynamic of the team with one of them ascending, I was just like, man, I feel like something's missing from the story. And then it's great to see Lyndon kind of step up and fulfill a role and then have a goal and then execute said plan. And it worked so incredibly well for me. So I just want to say thank you to Will White for giving us such a fantastic story in Cradle. I mean, it's not something that I think I will ever truly... this is my favorite progression fantasy. I've tried Cultivation, I've tried other progressions, and I've enjoyed them. But nothing has ever been quite as good to me personally as Cradle. So this is just me saying I loved it, and I thought the payoff was just fantastic. I give this one a very comfortable 9.5 out of 10. Let's skip the 5 out of 5. 9.5 out of 10, and I'm only subtracting half of a point from just the Celestial stuff, which I felt was just a hair rushed, but everything else worked for me in this story. I felt he nailed the characters, he nailed the story, he told the story he wanted to do. It all made sense. We had an end goal, we reached that end goal, and that epilogue was just chef's kiss. So good. I hope you guys pick up Cradle, because I think it's amazing. I truly love this story. Thank you to my friend Jordan the Boiled Jellyfish, and Patrick, and Bryce from Shelf Centered, and all the people who have just shared the love of this story, because it's just fantastic. So I hope you decide to check this one out, because it's well worth the effort and the time if you like progression fantasy. Like, if you like Naruto and you like Dragon Ball Z and you're looking for something similar in book format, Cradle's where it's at. So, I mean, that's all I've really got for you today, guys. This is just kind of me gushing and saying how much I love something. It literally made my day. It made my week to finish Waybound. But it also made me a little sad, of course, because it's over. I have some hopes that the story may be continued in a different format, on a different realm, but, I mean, Will White hasn't announced anything, and one of the bloopers makes me think that he is going to let it lie. But, yeah, no, it's an end of an era, but it was one hell of a ride. That's all I've really got for you today, guys. So, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.